I'm Dr. Stacy Reuille-Dupont. I'm a clinical and somatic psychologist. In my office, many people come in because they struggle with communication. In particular, they struggle to be successful using their communication skills to ask for what they want and need, and to say no to what they don't want. Many people grew up in households where people were sarcastic, put others down, belittled, even just made fun of each other as a way to make people change or get them to conform to the social rules of the household. In reality, these are not effective ways of communicating our needs and desires, or saying no to what we don't want. If you've ever communicated with someone who's passive-aggressive, it's confusing to understand what they really want and need from you. You often feel trapped. They say one thing, but really they're looking for something different. They compliment you, but it doesn't feel good. It feels like a question of, did they really compliment me? It's confusing. How about those who think they know what you think? They ask you a question, and before you've finished giving the answer, they correct you and tell you what they really think about your issue, problem, thought, opinion, whatever, really just coming from their own point of view. And they don't even realize that they cut you off and turned your ideas into their viewpoint. Ever connected with somebody who doesn't really listen? They'll tell you they're listening. They might even be looking at you, nodding their head, saying the appropriate, sure sounds, but they really are not listening. Instead, they're forming their argument back. They're completely distracted by something going on around you, behind you, inside their own head. They really are not interested in your issue, and they really don't get what you're after or value what you're talking about. So they're just starting to frame why it should be different according to their own views. Again, none of these communication styles are effective. To truly be a solid listener, it is an active process. It takes a physical response in the body of paying deep attention to someone else. Active listening requires that you aren't forming your own opinions of the other person's words or thoughts before they are done speaking. It requires you pay attention to them, not just with your ears, but also watching body language, tone of voice, as well as word choices. It requires listening with your own physical somatic experience, meaning noticing how it feels in your bodies to be with them, hear what they're saying. Most communication is done with nonverbals. And this means the way they hold their body, their tone of voice, the speed, intonation of the voice, the cadence of the words and posture that they're standing with, all impact how they feel as they're communicating with you. And how you feel inside your own body is a response to what are called mirror neurons. We all have mirror neurons in our brains, and they allow us to mirror what someone else is doing. It allows us to have an understanding of what might be going on for the other person. This allows us to respond quickly. In the event, say, someone was really angry, even if they said they weren't angry, we would get the message and we would move out of the way. Somatic experience is important and is a big piece of how we communicate. We just want to make sure that we're not giving it absolute value, because sometimes we're wrong. And this happens because all communication happens through noise. Noise in the communication world is about my experience filters and your experience filters. So the way you see those things and value the world is different than the way I see things and value the world. Your experience in the past is different than my experience in the past. The way we experience our current environment is different too. As a result, we have noise. What you say gets filtered through my experience. How you say it gets filtered through your own. As we go back and forth, we have to account for this noise in our communication patterns. It's okay if you don't agree with the other person's value system. However, their value system is valid just like your value system is valid. Their past experiences are valid just like your past experiences are valid. And when we go to work on respectful communication, it's not about being right, it's about being effective. Where there's disagreement, the goal isn't to convince the other person that we are right and they are wrong. That never works. The goal is to find where we actually have common ground and where we might actually share some values. From there, it's about trying to figure out how we can both respect each other's values, even if they're different, and even when the topic may be something that I care deeply and passionately about. Once we allow each other to speak our piece, and we have some sense of understanding of where the other person is coming from, it gets a lot easier to present why we are so passionate about this topic in respectful ways. It can help the other person see our side of it. Whether they choose to come over to my side or not, I cannot control. I can only control me and how I feel about myself after the conversation. This is about my own self-respect. Most of the time when I talk to people about communication patterns, they most often just want to be heard and valued for their own opinions and thoughts. They just want to be understood. So when you're working on communicating clearly, here are 4 ideas to help you get your point across and hold on to your self-respect so you can feel good about yourself once that communication is done. First, Remember, it's not about being right, it's about being effective. This comes straight out of dialectical behavior therapy and nonviolent communication theories. We operate here from a non-judgmental stance, and again, just as I mentioned before, each of you has validity in your values, opinions, and ideas, even if you do not agree. It's often hard for people to drop the need to be right to win the conversation. However, if you just work to win the conversation as though it's a debate, as fun as that might be for some of us, in the end, it won't actually hold the relationship well. You're better off working on being effective, offering your points and counterpoints in a respective way while honoring the values and differences in someone's opinion. Working on being effective allows you to keep the vision of getting your point across while also being heard and understood at the same time. You end up respecting yourself after the conversation is over. This allows you to have a conversation and not be verbally violent, assaultive, or abusive to the other person. Second, you want to work from I statements. As I said earlier, you can only control you, which means that the other person has no control over you. They don't get to control your opinions, values, ideas, and thoughts. However, when you start labeling, blaming, shaming, projecting, calling names, all of those things decrease your own sense of self-respect because you're violating the other person with your words. They really don't allow for anywhere to go in the conversation, they just shut it down. They create a situation where the other person will have to defend themselves rather than being able to address the points from their own point of view. What you really want to do is start with statements like I feel, I think, I understand, I heard you say, I'd like to deepen into that, I'm wondering about. All of these sentences allow for me to be in control of my own thought process and my own piece of the conversation without the need to control what someone else is doing in the conversation. This allows for the defensiveness to drop or at least be lessened and offers an openness to the conversation that has the possibility of creating productive dialogue. It's also important here to watch your emotional levels. It's okay to be emotional about a particular topic. However, make sure that you are speaking from an objective point of view. And when it's a subjective point of view, you are owning that as your own experience, value, opinion without projecting your opinions onto someone else. Third, be clear and direct. I cannot say this enough. I work with so many people who work to manipulate the conversation, to be passive aggressive, and are really not clear and direct in their communication. Then they are confused as to why they didn't get their need met or have their boundary respected. They are afraid of actually stating what they want or need due to rejection from the group. It is so important that you say what you mean and mean what you say. This includes the intensity at which you say it and the level up that you escalate the need. A lot of people will throw in helplessness or collapsed nature in order to manipulate the others to help them. Other people will become really defensive and projective, shaming and blaming others to keep them away and appear more confident or stronger than they really are in the situation. Neither one will get you what you want or need, and neither one will help you maintain a positive relationship between all parties in the long run. You are better off saying what you mean and meaning what you say, while using the appropriate levels of intensity to ask for what you want and set boundaries for what you don't want. You can always escalate your level of intensity. However, that doesn't mean screaming and yelling, calling names, or abusing other people. I can be very intense just by shortening my sentences, changing my tone of voice, and using body posture that isn't threatening or aggressive, but bigger and strong. Most people want to help. They want to be able to connect, and they want to be able to be part of the process. If I push them away to pretend that I am not weak or vulnerable or stronger than I really am in this situation, I've got problems. If I collapse and play helpless more than I truly am, I've also got problems. Here I often see other people use their emotions to manipulate the other. This is not effective. You might get what you want because somebody doesn't want to see you cry, they're afraid of you when you're angry, etc. However, in the long run, this destroys relationships because you don't feel seen and heard in your own emotional experience, and the other people don't want to participate with you because they feel like it's out of control and they feel manipulated. It's okay to have your emotions and okay to speak to your emotions. However, do not use them to manipulate the other person so they do what you want and leave you alone. You are better off saying what you mean and meaning what you say. You'll feel better about your own character, and they'll feel better about what you really want and need. Finally, remember, all people just want to be seen, heard, loved, and accepted authentically for who they really are. This is a basic human need, and all of us have it. If you can honor this need to truly and authentically see people for who they are with respect, you will get a lot further, even when there's a lot of disagreement, struggle, or conflict. Keep in mind that if you give the benefit of the doubt, believing the other person is trying their best, is acting from information that they have that matches their value system, and that their value system is valid even if it's different from your own, you'll get a lot further in the conversation. It becomes conversation, not conflict, each time you speak. You both get to hold down your boundaries, assert your values, opinions, thoughts, and emotions, and work on understanding first by actively listening to each other, then truly just speaking from your point of view, and rather than just projecting your ideas onto someone else. These 4 steps can help you become a better communicator in all of your relationships. Give them a try today, comment below, let us know how they went. If you're interested in learning more about how to thrive, click the link below to learn more about mind over matter and how our physiology and psychology are inextricably linked at stacyRD.com. If you are ready to get started making changes in your life, then visit our clinic website to check out our amazing professionals and book your first appointment with StudioB.life. That's studio, the letter B.life. Both links are in the description below. If you like this video and want to understand more about how your psychology is really in your physiology, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I want to help you work on changing your life one small step at a time. If there's something you'd like to see more of in the psychology and physiology realm, reach out. I love to create more videos that help people take control of their lives, or at least their perspective of how life is going. Small changes over time build health from the inside out. Thank you for watching, and make a great day happen. Be well.